Ah, yeah, it's perfect.
Oh, wow.
That is a great view.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the tower is right there. So did the Americans, Lieutenant Carl Timmerman, did he see the bridge from here?
So this is the view the Americans would have had 80 years ago on the 7th of March, 1945. Actually, they were standing on the street just 50 meters from here, but in the past 80 years, a small forest grew here. Here I have a picture from the spot how it was 80 years ago. Now, as you can see today, you have a lot of trees that grew in the past 80 years, but this is the view the Americans had. So here you have the Ludendorff Bridge that was located just between the two riverbanks over there. And to our left, you have the Apollinaris Church that, is one of the most remarking sites in Remagen.
Zoinke, one of my goals today is to take this then and now photograph. Do you think you can help me with that?
Yes, of course. I can show you the way, the route the Americans took from once they discovered the bridge.
Right.
And then in the late afternoon when they entered the tunnel on the other side of the river.
Sounds good. Sounds like a plan. When the Americans arrived in the Remagen area on March 7, 1945, they were surprised to see that the bridge over the Rhine River was still intact. Even in higher headquarters, no one had expected this to happen. In fact, the Allies, under Field Marshal Montgomery, had been planning a military operation to cross the Rhine River further north at the end of March 1945. The US First Army was not involved in this plan, and their mission was to push to the Rhine River and keep watch over it. But all of that changed when the 9th Armored Division overlooked Remagen and saw that the bridge was still standing. A task force under Lieutenant Colonel Engemann, consisting of tanks, cavalry, infantry and engineers, was designated to take the town. If the bridge could be captured intact, it would mean that the Americans had a free passage over the Rhine River. Together with local guide Zoinke, we explore the battle for the famous Ludendorff Bridge in a multi-episode series. In this one, we take some of the most amazing then and now photographs at Remagen, and hopefully we get to have a look inside the famous tunnel on the other side of the river. So it says the house number is 5.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so we are in the town center of Remagen. And this picture was actually taken right here. You can still see that, especially on the building here on the left, that it's the correct spot. So you can see that part of the building is still existing, and also the windows are still existing. The only thing that changed throughout the years is, of course, the part, like the red part that was built after it, and the door doesn't exist anymore. But because of the air vent, you can still see that there was an air vent 80 years ago as well. So it's that spot.
The attack on Remagen began when Company A of the 27th Armored Infantry Battalion under Lieutenant Timmerman advanced at 1400 hours and moved downhill from the church where we took the then and now photograph. The company split up into 3 platoons and each one made their way towards the bridge. We walked the path of the 2nd platoon, the one in the middle, under command of Lieutenant Burrows. Alright, Zoinke, I compiled this book for the 80th anniversary of the Battle of Remagen, the Battle of the Bridge of Remagen. And basically I put all the Signal Corps photographs that I could find in the US National Archives in this book to have a photographic history of the battle and the area. And my goal was to showcase the work of all the photographers, name all the photographers, and put the original captions in here. And one of the great photos that we have is a photograph taken by Wesley Carolan, taken on March the 9th, 2 days after the capture of the bridge. But we can see troops coming, walking over the town square. Guys from I believe the 9th Infantry Division. And Wesley Carolan was actually the photographer who took a lot of photographs in Bastogne during the Battle of the Bulge when the 101st Airborne Division arrived. And now he is here with the guys advancing over the bridge. And this is a one photo, then and now photograph that I've always wanted to take. So this is I'm so excited for this. So
yeah, and you can still see, you can still recognize a lot of characteristics of this place. So here the old building and also the fountain or the monument. So
yes. So and they came from over there. Is this the route that the 27th Armored Infantry Battalion took when they advanced towards the bridge?
Yes, exactly. So you had one platoon that was led by Lieutenant Burrows, and they were advancing through the town square and through the middle of the town. And probably they came from that street over there.
Okay.
Yeah.
As we moved towards the former location of the Remagen Bridge, we took some more amazing then and now photographs. And yes, you heard it right. We have published our very own first book, called the Remagen Bridgehead Signal Corps Chronicles, photographs from the US Signal Corps archives, dedicated to the cameraman of the US Army Signal Corps, featuring more than 125 pictures taken in the Remagen area, some of them which have never been published before. This is the first ever pictorial history of the Remagen Bridgehead, with exclusive archival research, original captions, and location details for your own then and now comparisons. This book is a must-have for World War II enthusiasts, historians, and anyone who wants to see Remagen like never before. Make sure to pick up your copy using the link to Amazon in the description below. Or if you are a US citizen, get it at a slightly cheaper price on footstepsresearchers.com. You can also scan the QR code on screen. Now let's head back to Remagen.
So we're standing right now at a place that was very different 80 years ago. So as you can still see it a little bit today, there was an open ground here. Also the supermarket here didn't exist 80 years ago. And what happened is that the three platoons of A Company, 27th Armored Infantry Battalion, they came out of Remagen in that direction. And they grouped up again as a company. And also a heavy tank platoon was coming that was lieutenant by Lieutenant Grimble. They have 4 Pershing tanks that were proceeding together towards the bridge that is over there. Now, as you can see behind me, we have the 2 bridge towers on the other side, on the side of Erpel. And there was an anti-aircraft gun located that shot at the Pershing tanks because they could see it because of the open ground or open field. And then they were shooting at it. The 20mm anti-aircraft gun didn't penetrate the Pershings, so the Pershing tanks could return fire, and they actually destroyed it. And this is more or less one of the only firefights that happened on the 7th of March in that region.
Okay. And then they headed for the bridge.
Exactly. Then they headed for the bridge,
which is right there. Started right there after
exactly.
Behind the supermarket. Oh, that's amazing.
So when the Americans came here, they suddenly heard an explosion, and they first thought that the bridge got destroyed by the Germans, but this was luckily not true. The Germans had a charge set on the causeway leading to the bridge. The charge was probably located somewhere where I'm standing right now, and this crater was caused by that. And this crater or this hole was meant that the Americans couldn't cross, or the possible attacker couldn't cross the bridge with cars and tanks. Now, this was the first defensive measure the Germans had, one of the first defensive measures the Germans had in order to defend the bridge.
Oh, cool. And so what happened? They continued up?
Exactly. After they recognized that the bridge was still standing, they continued to go up here and first of all halted because they were waiting for reinforcements. Now, an interesting fact is that Major Divas, he was one of the superiors of Lieutenant Timmerman. He asked him if he could actually lead his company across the bridge. Now, Timmerman replied he could try, but what if the bridge blows up when he's on it? And then Major Divas just said, or just turned around and went away. So in the end, this means then you're unlucky, or we have to take this risk in order to take the bridge.
Wow.
All right, so now we are at the moment that A Company under the command of Lieutenant Timmerman and also the engineers are about to prepare their attack. Now you can probably imagine them being on that other part of the bridge, and they're getting ready in order to cross the bridge. But what happened then is that the charges that were set or placed under the bridge were blown up by the Germans. Now you have to imagine this area being full of smoke because of the explosion, and after a while, when the smoke was gone, the Americans saw that the bridge was still standing, what was to their surprise because they were sure they would find the bridge laying on the Rhine River. After the Americans saw that the bridge was still standing, Timmerman said, "Let's go," and then they were crossing or starting to cross the bridge.
When the men got the order to advance at 15:30 hours, they ran as fast as they could. In the back of everyone's mind was the grim picture of explosive charges tied to the girders and beneath the floor of the bridge. Performing the heroic task of removing the rest of the TNT charges was Lieutenant Mott and two of his engineers, Sergeant Dorland and Sergeant Reynolds. They then raced to the other end of the bridge to cut the main cable. It was later found out that the blasting caps of several charges had gone off but failed to set off the main charges. The first infantryman across the river was Sergeant Drabeck. Due to limited visibility of the German machine gun positions in the bridge towers, Company A was able to reach the east bank without too much opposition. Tanks and infantry then continued securing the bridge area, and another infantry company took care of the tunnel. With 0 casualties on the American side, the bridge was now in their hands. Since there is no more bridge today, we took the nearby ferry and drove to the east end of the Remagen Bridge. Zönke had set up a meeting with the former mayor of Erpel, Mr. Neustein. To my surprise, he invited us inside the tunnel for a very interesting story. In case you didn't know, the tunnel is sealed off throughout the year and only open for special occasions.
Der Tunnel ist natürlich eine historische Stätte, von der Bauzeit im Ersten Weltkrieg her, ein militärisches Bauwerk, speziell für den Krieg gegen Frankreich gebaut. Aber die besondere Bedeutung, historische Bedeutung hat der Tunnel dann am Ende des Zweiten Weltkrieges gefunden, als die amerikanischen Truppen schließlich hier über den Rhein kamen am 7. März 1945 und den Tunnel eroberten, in dem sich damals noch das Wehrmachtskommando aufhielt. Wenige Soldaten mit wenigen militärischen Möglichkeiten und etwa so 100 bis 120 Zivilisten, die hier im Tunnel Schutz gesucht haben vor den Bombenangriffen, die ja den ganzen Ort damals betroffen haben. Das ist eines der erschütterndsten Dokumente eigentlich dieser Zeit, eine Brieftasche, und man sieht hier unten und auch auf der Innenseite, dass diese Brieftasche durchschossen worden ist. Es war die Brieftasche von Willy Veltens, der damals hier im Tunnel war an dem 7. März und gemeinsam mit den Frauen, die hier waren, dann mit weißen Fahnen den Amerikanern entgegengelaufen ist, um den Beschuss dann damit zu stoppen. Willy Veltens war hier im Tunnel im hinteren Bereich mit seiner Frau, seinem Sohn und seiner Mutter. Und als er dann mit den weißen Tüchern mit den Frauen hinten herausgelaufen ist, ist er gezielt beschossen worden. Der Grund war wahrscheinlich, dass er damals eine schwarze Uniform anhatte. Er war bei der Deutschen Reichsbahn, also die Eisenbahneruniform. Er war nicht Militär, sondern Eisenbahner, aber für die amerikanischen Soldaten stellte die schwarze Uniform natürlich sofort den Zusammenhang her mit den SS-Truppen, die ja schwarze Uniformen trugen, und deswegen dürfte er gezielt beschossen worden sein. Eine sehr mutige Tat der Frauen und auch des Willy Veltens, denn das war ja damals bei Todesstrafe verboten, weiße Fahnen zu zeigen, sich zu ergeben. Und insofern, denke ich, waren diese Frauen und auch der Willy Veltens die eigentlichen Helden dieses 7. März. Dadurch wurde hier im Tunnel das große Blutbad vermieden, denn wenn die Amerikaner hier in den Tunnel hereingeschossen hätten mit ihren Panzerkanonen, hätte es ja hier wahrscheinlich 100 Tote gegeben.
With the surrender of German troops and clearing of the tunnel, the Americans could now focus on expanding the Remagen bridgehead. Thank you so much, Mr. Neustein, for telling us this story. Alright, Zerinka, that was amazing to be inside there. Now, if you look on your right hand, I want to take a then and now photograph of this picture. That's our goal. That was our goal for today, of course, and to explore the whole battlefield. But I think it's time that we're going to do it. Mr. Neustein opened the door for us. And although we cannot see everything, we can still try it.
Absolutely.
All right. When the US 9th Armored Division unexpectedly captured the Ludendorff Bridge at Remagen on March 7, 1945, it forced the German High Command into a chaotic response. The bridgehead across the Rhine disrupted their defensive plans and diverted crucial German forces away from Cologne and other sectors. Trying with whatever resources they had, the German army tried destroying the bridge but failed to do so. Remagen had one of the highest, if not highest, concentrations of anti-aircraft guns ever deployed by the US Army in a single location during World War II. This resulted in a huge loss of German aircraft. For the 9th Armored Division, the capture of the bridge was one of their biggest achievements, and Eisenhower said that the bridge was worth its weight in gold. For the first time in over 100 years, an invading force had successfully crossed the Rhine River into Germany. The men who were involved with the capture of the bridge were hailed as heroes, and many of them received the Distinguished Service Cross. The bridge and its towers became a symbol of victory, perseverance, and ingenuity for US Army troops during World War II. More than 100 photographs were taken in this area by Signal Corps photographers. We combined all these pictures in our first book, the Remagen Bridgehead, Signal Corps Chronicles. If you want to support the channel, pick up your copy today using the Amazon link below or scan the QR code. In our next video, we will be exploring the German attempts to blow up the bridge. Although unsuccessful, the bridge still collapsed 10 days after its capture. Make sure to tune in to Snafu Docs on March 17. Thank you for watching. May we never forget.